We want to answer some of the email questions that you've sent in. This first one, Gordon, comes from Brett, who says, "Hello, Gordon. I have a question about communion. After doing some research, it seems to me that communion is supposed to be an annual event that should be held in the evening on the 14th of Abib. Can you shed some light on why we tend to take it at a morning church service once a month?"
Well, Brett, what you're talking about is the Passover. And so I'm all for Christians celebrating the Passover and the Seder service, and in that, visualizing the Last Supper. But communion, instituted at the Last Supper, is celebrated in the Eucharistic festival. This is the feast of the Lord, his body and his blood. And Jesus was quite specific: do this often, as oft in remembrance of me. And so the Mass in the Orthodox community, the Catholic community, the Eucharist is the central part of that. It's the reason you gather. And that is ancient. That isn't something new. That has been part of the Christian tradition since the catacombs of Rome. In the Protestant tradition, it was the sermon replaced the Mass, and then communion was usually monthly. I know some churches that have increased that. I encourage people to take communion as often as you can, and do that on a regular basis to show forth his death until he come. It reminds you that you've been bought with a price, and the price is huge and very precious. It reminds you that your life is not your own. It reminds you to take up your cross and follow him. It shouldn't be once a year or once a month or once a week. I think it's good to remember it and go through the Psalm cycle, Psalm 114, 15, 16, 17, 18. Those were all the Psalms at the Last Supper, and just realize the prophecies that were being fulfilled in the body and blood of Jesus Christ. So please take communion.
Mrs. Diana, who says, "My sister tells me that in God's eyes she is married. She had her union to Keith blessed by a friend who is a pastor. They did not get married legally. What does the Bible say about this?"
Well, what does Terry say about this?
Well, this is very interesting. Obviously, your sister has some faith experience because she wanted the marriage blessed by a friend who was a pastor. I mean, otherwise you wouldn't do that, right? I'm not sure, there aren't enough details to know where the reasons they didn't get married legally. I also think there's an obedience issue here. You know, in our culture, what defines marriage? It's a man and a woman choosing before God and their family and friends to commit their lives to each other. And sometimes, you know, we try to skirt around these things. We are kind of obedient, but we're kind of doing our own thing.
Well, I think there is a difference between doing vows,
yes,
and Diana doesn't tell us were there vows involved. If they're vows made before the Lord,
yes,
in my view, the Bible, you're married.
Yes.
You don't have to go get a marriage certificate. You have that. Within Christian tradition, please look up what St. Valentine did, and you might get some peace about it. God bless you. We'll see you again tomorrow.